Hello and welcome to episode 250 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Jordan Willis.
My name is Patrick Knisley.
My name is David Howe, and boy oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined once again by a very special guest, podcast favorite. Welcome back, the one and only Emma Brockway. How's it going, Emma?
Hey! Good to see you guys, or be here with you guys.
Very good.
Glad to have you back, as always. Today, we're going to be talking about character spin-off games as Princess Peach gets her own spin-off game next week. But before we get into that, we're going to get into the news of the week. Rumors of Switch successor name being Attach. We got Penny's big breakaway 60 frames per second patch coming for Switch. I know David's super stoked for that. We also got a game announcement, or a Summer Games Fest date announcement for June 7th. But before we get into all of that, how's everyone doing?
Pretty good. I'm excited to do today's episode. Speculative episodes are always fun. Coming up with game ideas for potential character spin-off games. This is going to be a fun one. But yeah, man, I don't know. I've had a pretty chill past week for the most part, I guess. Work has kind of slowed down a little bit past when it was like super intense recently. So that's nice. I'm going to see End of Evangelion in theaters on Wednesday. So I'm very excited for that. I've been binging the series leading up to this point. I've also been like rereading the Dune novel. So I've got like both canons swirling around in my head. I'm getting confused.
That's a pretty wild mashup.
It really is. They're both like highly philosophical and a little psychedelic. So I'm having fun with both series right now. But yeah, that's been mostly me. Other than that, just playing some games. What about y'all? How was your weeks?
I got to do a show with you, David. I got to, this past week, do the Good Fight show and hang out with David afterwards, which was fun.
Yeah, we hung out at very legitimate bars that were above board.
Oh my gosh, there's some insider stuff there. And I don't know, that was a big night for me. Otherwise, I don't think I did a lot. Oh, my kid was in a theater camp and he did his show this past week. So that
cool.
was a weekend. So that was fun.
I didn't know it was a theater camp. I thought it was just a camp. What show did he do?
It was like one of those ones where they put on a show. It's not like just learning about theater. They did Wonka.
Oh, cool.
So it was fun.
Like Timothy Chalamet's Wonka, or like the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
The stage adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but it's called Wonka. Okay. And then it's like the junior version. It's like shortened, I'm guessing, and stuff like that. So
cool.
Is your kid good? Got good stage presence?
Yeah, it went well. He played at Ghostus Gloop.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good part.
That's a good part.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Eat a lot of chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear your kid came back from camp. That's nice. I just finally listened to the other episode and I was like, whoa. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Sending my kid to a camp.
It made way more sense.
If you said we sent him to an acting camp, it would have been so much more normal.
Yeah, but that's not funny for a bit or dark. Anyway, it's not a great week, but I'm glad to be here with y'all. It's just been a really strange series of events, and if anyone's really curious, you can message me and I'll tell you. But I don't necessarily feel like sharing all of the details on the pod. But yeah, hoping that this week evens out a little bit, and I get to relax a little bit more than I did last week. But anyway, yeah, I am excited to be here talking with y'all about some possible game ideas for Nintendo. I know they're listening. Emma, how are you
always
doing?
listening. I'm doing good. Pretty normal week. I'm still looking for jobs, so that's kind of stressful. But as of now, still here. I started a new D&D group at a brewery nearby, which has been super fun.
Nice.
That's cool. With friends or with like randoms?
One of my friends, but we found that there's a large group that does it. So since we didn't get like a bunch of friends to get together, we found other friends.
Nice.
Oh, cool. New friends.
Yeah, new friends.
Nice.
And it's at a brewery, so it's pretty laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds chill.
Last week, we did an episode on emulation and what's going on with that in light of the lawsuit involving Yuzu and the settlement thereof. Over on our Discord, Sowing Shade said they're not sure about Nintendo's long-term ambitions with regard to emulation, but hope the more optimistic view is accurate. And also said, convinced Zaslav's dream is to have Warner Brothers Discovery produce an own nothing and still turn a profit.
I don't think that's that far off, honestly. I think Zaslav is trying to sell Warner Brothers after having bought it. Yeah, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Also, we heard from Medium Quality, who said he'd heard some speculation that the reason Nintendo went after Yuzu is because the Super Switch has similar architecture, which sparked a little bit of a discussion involving Cool Uncle Vince. And also one of our guests from last episode, Michael Domingue, responded saying part of what made the Switch so able to be hacked and all that stuff was the hardware and using sort of NVIDIA GPU that people knew a lot about. So they probably won't make that mistake again. Over on our YouTube, we got a few comments too. We got a Real Tomato saying, thank you to this bunch of handsome boys that are not lawyers. Great episode. Thank you, Real Tomato. And I think our clickbait title invited some discussion where we got some responses to that particularly, I think, from Mega Man 37456, who said Yuzu devs were apparently doing some big no-nos in their Discord and some of that stuff, which we talked about. And also we heard from Stephen Shockley, who said that in particular kind of criticized the emulation that Nintendo provides us with, and that there are a bunch of big games that aren't even available on it.
That's a good point, I think, and one that has always favored emulation, fan-made emulation, is that the stuff that is done by the big companies often pales in comparison feature-wise to what you can find for free online. And I think that that's a really great point, and I think that that should light a fire under some of these companies' butts to, if they want to curb illegal downloading of video games, then bring all the feature sets that everybody expects from free stuff. So I think that's a great point.
So if you too want to be shouted out next week, then, if there's anything we talk about today that you have a comment on, definitely leave a comment on the Discord, on the YouTube channel, or send us a note somewhere. We'll try to shout you out. We always appreciate it when we hear from our viewers and listeners. And if you can share the podcast, we always appreciate that. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on YouTube. And we've got a Patreon now. So pop over to the Patreon if you feel like supporting us. Appreciate that.
Thank you to all our patrons.
And we're going to start off the news with my favorite story for this week, which is that the Super Mario Maker, what's it called? Team 0%? Is that there, something like that? This is the group that is trying to beat every uncleared Super Mario Maker level before the Wii U online shutdown, which happens on April 8th. They're down to just one level. It's been kind of within the last week. It went from, I don't remember where we were at about a week ago, but it was much more numerous than one. I can't remember what we said last week even now, but
it was 3 levels a little bit earlier in the week, and now it's down to 1 level that is remaining. Yes.
And it is that same level we discussed a little bit last week, trimming the herbs by the one person whose name I can't remember now, but that apparently requires so many frame perfect inputs. But they got a couple weeks, so we'll see. Grand Pooh Bear and the Beast, a bunch of Mario creators have been putting out videos about it and of them working on it. Like right now, I've got a video of Jank Pickle here trying the level.
I think that's a really fun bit of this right now, is that everybody's playing this one level trying to clear it. And it's an absurd level. I actually watched some of the Beast you were talking about, Patrick, today during lunch, like trying to clear it. I think when I tuned in during lunch, he had already been streaming this one level for 10 hours trying to beat this level. And bear in mind, this is a 18-second level or a 17-second level if you can do it right. So it's just a level that involves I think it's 8 frame perfect grab jump things and a lot of juggling of a bob-omb, and it's just an insane level for the very last level to clear, and people only have 3 weeks to get everything done, so I hope they can do it. It's really crazy to watch. I'm kind of losing hope that it'll actually get done before the cutoff time, but
there's a reason it's the last.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of exciting to see this at the moment. I never thought it would really come to this, so more power to everybody, and I hope that they can clear what is it, trimming the herbs.
Yeah, herbs, trimming the herbs.
Depends on where you are. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks on that one. This whole rumor of the Switch Attach, the name for the next Switch, which we've been calling the Super Switch, the internet is dubbed the Switch 2. There was somebody who posted on Reddit showing a YouTube, sometimes instead of ads, you get these surveys, right? Saying a survey where it was like, what console are you interested in, right? Like PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Switch Attach. So this sparked some discussion about whether or not this is a name. It probably isn't.
A pretty terrible name if it is.
Switch Attach. Like, try to say that and then focus on the mouth shapes that you use.
It's so hard to say.
Switch Attach. You have to do so much extreme mouth movement to say that name.
Yeah.
I really hate it.
I don't think it's going to be like, it can't be that name. I mean, I think after the Wii U, hopefully they would have learned the lesson of making such a confusing name as well. Like, what does that even mean?
It sounds like an attachment for the Switch.
Right.
Quite literally. Yeah.
I don't really know how YouTube surveys work, but I think the strongest argument against this is I heard some people saying that YouTube surveys sometimes intentionally put fake brands and things in there to weed out people that are just randomly clicking and stuff like that. And to I guess you can take YouTube surveys and make you like Google money or something. I don't know how that all works, but like maybe to weed out people that are just spamming if they get too many, like I remember when I was a kid and like in elementary school and they had us take like these tests to talk about drugs and like which drugs have you taken, and like they had fake drugs in them, I think to weed out the people that just like said they took every drug just to mess up the results of them. So same sort of energy. I don't know.
I hope that's the case. Switch Attach is too hard to say. Although I've been getting better at it since that leaked or was rumored.
Switch Attach, Switch Attach, Switch Attach, Switch Attach. I guess it's not that hard. But I don't know. I definitely, if this is true, God forbid. I mean, no one is going to think that this is a new console if it's called the Switch Attach. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they're trying to just do these iterative things, whatever. But it does beg the question on like what it's attaching to. Does that mean that it's maybe you attach two switches together? I mean, it kind of makes sense that it would be called an attach, since switch is also a verb that describes what it does. So if this is something that attaches to other things, then that kind of keeps in line strangely with their naming stuff. But it's just an awful name. Nobody likes it. I really hope they just go with Super Switch like we all want them to do. But we'll have to see. I eagerly await the reveal of whatever this new system is going to be, whatever it decides to be named, notwithstanding.
This week is GDC week, which is the Game Developers Conference out in San Francisco. Just kicked off. It's happening all week. And so it's pretty exciting for game developers. I think there's a lot of really big names there and good talks and all that. And, if anything else comes out of it, we'll report on it next week. But I get a lot of questions. Are you going this year and stuff like that? And I'm not. But man, I wish I could. Because there's some like Tezuka, Takashi Tezuka from Nintendo's there, and
Alexei Pajitnov is also there. It's a hype list of good people there. I see so many friends there on Twitter right now and acquaintances and just people I look up to. I'm smitten with jealousy. It's expensive though, man.
Yeah,
like if you don't have a pass to go, it's kind of like a South by thing,
right?
Know? It's like generally you're gonna go because you got a pass, not because you paid the $1,000 or whatever it is for like the all access pass to go to GDC, right? But yeah, I'm pretty jealous. It looks like it's a really good time. Hopefully we get some fresh Switch successor rumors out of this year as well.
And I don't know a whole lot about this, so I'm going to lean on you, David, but SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, right, have said that they've got their eyes on the video game industry for a strike. Is that right?
Yeah, this came out of South by Southwest, which just wrapped up its like first half this past week. That was kind of the film and interactive section of South by Southwest. And during that time, Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who is one of the top guys at SAG-AFTRA, was saying that if SAG-AFTRA is going to strike again, it would be against the major video game industries. They made big strides with the AMPTP last year, obviously, in regards specifically with AI. This go round, they're obviously looking to make sure that they get proper treatment within the video game industry. We're seeing lots more motion capture, performance capture, voice acting, all this kind of stuff, all these different ways that actors can be taken advantage of in the video games industry. And they're trying to plug all those holes as technology changes. So keep an eye on that. It would be very interesting to see how that might suss out and how it might affect other industries as well. I know IATSE, the IA, is looking to renew their contract this year as well. So hopefully we don't get too many major entertainment shutdowns again this year, because we're still feeling a lot of the effects of the SAG and WGA strikes from last year in the entertainment industry. So fingers crossed, everybody can find a good deal and this isn't too disruptive to an industry that frankly is already quite disrupted by massive layoffs and lots of sea change.
I do want to add one thing. I just worry too, if they do reach a pretty good deal, game companies would use this as an excuse to lay off even more, because they would use it as an excuse to say, oh, hey, we have to pay these actors more, so now we have to lay off more people, when it's it's not really the case. They just want to do it. That's my main concern out of all of this. I just really hope it doesn't happen and they can reach a fair deal as well.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they can reach a fair deal, but I think it is worth kind of questioning, I don't want AI voice acting in my video games. I do want them to pay voice actors. So, I mean, the conversation is good. I hope it doesn't lead to a lot of disruption.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a couple of updates and patches here we're going to talk about. First up is Penny's Big Breakaway. Apparently they got a 60 frames per second patch that's coming for the Switch, because that was previously just 30 on Switch, right?
Yeah, menus ran at 60 and the gameplay ran at 30 FPS. And they are now making it to where the Switch version can run at 60 FPS, which is great. Again, it kind of shows that they were working on this game right up until launch. If they're putting out a patch like this afterwards, you'd think that this would be something that they would want to ship with. There's been a few games like that recently, like the Star Wars Battlefront Collection came out for the Switch, much maligned release. Lots of problems with the online and the netcode and dedicated servers and stuff like that. But I'm glad to see this come out. I've been playing this game on Steam Deck at a solid 90 frames per second at 4K, so it's not been a problem for me. But I'm glad to see this game get the full treatment it deserves on the Switch, because I can't imagine this is too hard on the system. I think they probably just had to do some optimization behind the scenes. But if anything's been holding you back from getting this game on the Switch, that should not be a problem anymore. Fantastic platformer. I really recommend to anybody who likes 3D platformers.
Stardew Valley, Concerned Ape, who makes Stardew Valley, they've got a patch or an update coming. Emma, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so Eric Barone has been teasing this for a while. He's supposed to be working on a new game and keeps just making free Stardew content, which is crazy. But that's finally coming out Tuesday, so yesterday when you listen to this podcast. And it has a new farm and all kinds of new items and just more character interactions. And it shouldn't be as big as the last update, but in the development, Concerned Ape had said it got bigger than he thought it would. So this is just a developer that keeps putting stuff out. And it's coming to console really soon, he said, but it's going to take a little while to get through that approval loop.
Yeah, it's crazy that, I guess, I think I said this on the podcast not too long ago, but he made so much money off of that game that he just wants to keep working on that game, apparently.
He loves it.
Yeah.
He loves this game and the fans, and I'm so happy for more free content.
It's one of the best stories in video gaming, I think, ever, because he's just so enamored and he just keeps thinking, what a creative person too. He just keeps oh no, wouldn't it be cool if I could do this? And he's okay, I'll just do it. He's not what if I could do this? He goes, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Even if it means I'm not working on this second game. But also the other thing is, I feel like he is still probably working on the second game at the same time.
He is. But one of the small fixes is that the sword swings go a little bit more below your character now, which apparently had bothered him for years. He just keeps fixing things.
There you go.
Love it.
We've got some pretty credible rumors, leaks, if you will, about a PlayStation 5, PS5 Pro coming. We got during holiday of this year, end of this year, is the time frame, and specs have leaked for this thing. I don't know if anybody needs this, but it's happening. David, you're shaking your head.
I mean, fuck, man. This is coming on a year where Sony was like, don't expect any first-party games this year. They straight up said that. They said, we're not releasing any big games this year, but they are releasing hardware that is like moderately more powerful. Apparently it has a lot of the same motherboard as well. And it's just got increased, maybe it's memory capabilities or something like that. So it could better make use of the onboard like SoC that they have with the system. That's the most recent rumor I've seen. Take that with a grain of salt. I mean, but it's really sounding like this is going to be released this year. I think the thing that I'm seeing most out of this is that it's going to be using something called PSSR, which is a super sampling resolution upscaling sort of thing, much like you see with DLSS. If that's the case, I mean, then it makes sense. A lot of times with that kind of technology, you can add in frames where frames didn't used to be, or you can bump up the resolution when you have a lower internal resolution without losing any performance, right? So, if they're figuring out better ways to use the technology, then I think that that's great. But that said, it's just like, who wants this, man? Like, we want games. Like, we want like put that energy into like producing more actual like products right now. I don't know. Anybody else have a different take on this?
No, it's pretty much that. As someone who only just got a PS5, I'm not going to go buy a new one. Also, as a Nintendo Switch person who just got a PS5, it's beautiful. It runs perfectly fine.
What about the teraflops? I don't know.
Oh, see, I don't even know. If it runs more than 30 frames per second and the loading times are like nothing, great.
I had the same experience when I finally got an Xbox Series X and I'm playing it and I'm like, I mean, I can kind of tell a difference, but then I went back to playing Switch on my TV. I'm like, okay, I don't think I can really, my eyes can't really tell the difference. Me, I don't know. The only thing that really interested me about this in general, though, was at the Xbox, one of the showcases, they were saying how the next generation of consoles is going to be like a massive leap forward that like we've never seen before. And so I'm curious if the technology that you're talking about, David, is what's going to really push everything into the next level. But I don't see why you would need to put out a Pro. Anyway, yeah.
Unless they're testing it, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a situation with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X where a lot of games, you can either have a really crisp, beautiful 4K with ray tracing at 30 frames per second, or you can have 60 FPS with a lot of those things stripped out of it, right? There's performance modes and there's quality modes, right? If this makes it to where a lot of the games that are coming out combine those two modes and you have great, fidelity with 60 FPS, I mean, that's obviously what they're targeting here, right?
Yeah.
But it feels a little unnecessary right now, and it feels like a little bit like they have some of their priorities in the wrong place. That said, Jordan, like you were talking about, I think that this is what we'll see in the next Switch as well. I do think that this is the future of graphics processing, and I think that this is the future of making sure that games can run on lower spec software, or that you can really push it for higher spec hardware. Excuse me. So yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens with this, but I think we're going to hear a lot more moaning and bitching about this than we are going to hear people celebrating this coming out later this year.
While we are still waiting for IGN to give us the exact date for their E3 replacement, we did get a date for the kickoff of Summer Game Fest, the Summer Game Fest Live event happening on June 7th. So it will be interesting to see this year if that IGN event is anything significant and if Summer Game Fest ties in with that. I don't know. Now that E3 is forever dead.
Rip.
Yeah, I don't, it'll be interesting. Every past year where Summer Game Fest took over, it kind of felt like there might be a chance of E3 coming back, and this time there's not. So this is the new normal, I guess. June 7th.
I'm mostly curious to see who that would participate in E3 but didn't participate in this will participate this year.
That's a good point.
That's like the main thing I'm curious about, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see who announces. But I want to say who didn't, like Bethesda or
Nintendo.
Ubisoft.
Well,
Nintendo. Yeah.
But Nintendo
Xbox.
has directs, and Bethesda did fine. Like,
Am I alone in that when I see Summer Game Fest announcements like this is when Summer Game Fest is starting, it just means nothing to me? It's like because it is so spread out and because it's just been happening and they've been so inconsequential, almost every single one that has happened so far. And it's just so what's the word? It's just it's spread too thin, like butter over too much toast, as Bilbo Baggins would say. I just think I just can't get excited or care.
I agree with that.
Yeah, like you said, Patrick, I way more care to see what this IGN replacement is going to be. But
right, because
Keeley is kind of worn out his welcome for me a little bit.
If anything, I'll look at it right before, see if there's anything I want to tune into, and maybe watch like one thing.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to pay attention months ahead of time.
Yeah, I think the IGN thing is attractive because it seems to be a condensed amount of time, right? It seems more like an E3, whereas like you're saying, Summer Game Fest is this sort of nebulous, ongoing event. This thing that got announced is the kickoff, the live thing, but I'm with you, David, that I don't really remember. I kind of remember watching one of them in the last few years, but I don't remember it ever being super consequential, like you said.
It kind of plays like white noise to me, man. It's just kind of like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'd love for him to turn it around and have something, much more of note there, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, it sounds like David will be sleeping good in June with all the white noise.
I hope so.
Wonderful.
And then just to round out the news, we've got the Among Us television show, if you didn't know, is actually happening. There's an Among Us TV show. It's a cartoon, and they've announced the cast for the show. And it actually looks like a decently interesting cast. And like, if it's a cartoon and a comedy, which it looks like it's going to be based on this cast, I'm kind of on board because I think it sounds like they're going for a workplace kind of comedy with like strong, absurd characters. So that's pretty cool. We've got Randall Park, Yvette Nicole Brown, Elijah Wood, and Ashley Johnson.
Is this by the studio that did Lower Decks?
Yes. That's what I understand. Yeah. Which is a great show. I really like Star Trek Lower Decks. I actually know a lot of the people that work on that show, and they're all super talented and great direction, good writing. This is a great cast. I mean, it is a good cast. You've got a couple like comedy alums here with Randall Park and Yvette Nicole Brown. Elijah Wood is no stranger to voice acting with Over the Garden Wall and a lot of his more absurdist roles that he's taken. And then Ashley Johnson, also voice of Ellie from Last of Us. And
she did great with that.
Ellie. Yeah. I think this is a really great cast. I'm super. I'll be watching the show. I mean, it was kind of came out of nowhere, but I think the pedigree is there.
What's the plot?
I think it's going to be a workplace comedy, right? Like,
there's an alien in their midst, and they got to figure it out. Like,
they're trying to. It sounds like they've handed out these sort of character descriptions for these characters they're playing too, where it's like the super suspicious, sarcastic wet blanket and the like corporate shill and I just feel like it has a very much office or type vibe with like these.
I think that's a good way to go with it, though.
Yeah.
You're doing a job on a ship. There's an imposter.
We'll see. I don't think it's actually like attached to any streaming service or anything like that yet. So, but they've got a decent cast and they're moving forward. So we'll all find out more later, I'm sure.
If it's CBS Studios, that'll be on Paramount.
Yeah.
Unless Paramount Plus merges with Apple like they've been trying to do. Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, anyway, that's going to do it for the news segment. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be pitching and talking all about Nintendo characters that deserve their own spin-off games. All right. Well, we are back. And this week we thought that we would talk about side character spin-off games in light of the Princess Peach Showtime game coming out next week, who is, since she's had her own game before, is sort of a side character that has now, kind of spinning out to have her own game here. We thought we would talk about what other characters Nintendo has that deserve a shot at their own game or series. When you think about it, a lot of Nintendo franchises are essentially spin-off games that succeeded and then got sequels, like the Yoshi series, WarioWare. You got one, Jordan?
Mario.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
Super Mario Brothers is a spin-off of Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Donkey Kong Country is kind of a spin-off of Donkey Kong as well. So
who spins off the spin-offs? Who watches The Watchmen?
And there are a lot of really charming and fun Nintendo characters that are just sitting on the sidelines that I think they could mine. So this is our chance to kind of pitch to each other some characters and gameplay ideas for those characters for that. So I feel like we have to just address the obvious one first, and that's the one that gets all the memes and all that, and that's Waluigi. I don't think that Waluigi is like the most deserving or the most obvious in a certain sense, but I feel like Jordan does.
Hard disagree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard disagree.
In some ways, he's the most tragic.
Yes. But there's always the trope, joke, whatever, Waluigi's taco stand. What game should Waluigi get if Waluigi got his own game or franchise? Would it be a platformer? Would it be, y'all think? What do y'all think?
That's going to be the hardest thing for all of these that we talk about, because they have done really well at taking side characters and making like a different kind of game. Other than like some where Mario and Luigi are in them and they're the simple like platformer, like Wario games all have their own thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke in the Discord at this point. The name of the bullshit channel right now is Waluigi Dating Sim, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see a dating sim. I think that Nintendo has kind of, I think that Nintendo has kind of pushed Waluigi as this like weirdo romantic. Like in all of his things, he's like, doing a flamenco pose, or he's got, a rose in his mouth or something like that. So I think it'd be fun for them to do a visual novel-esque, wacky, silly narrative style like dating game for Waluigi. I think that'd be really fun. Or if not that, then something that maybe explores whatever kind of relationship that Wario and Waluigi have with each other, right? So I think that could be a fun way to go about it. But yeah, man, I mean, Waluigi has been such an intriguing character this whole time, and that whole like evil side of the Mario characters is ripe for storytelling, and I'd love to see them expand that character more outside of like side games and sports titles.
I mean, I feel like that segues a little into I put Daisy, because she's in that same position of not really the evil, but was added around the same time to be an antithesis to Peach. And Wario got his own stuff, but Daisy's gotten like nothing. She's gotten even less, I feel like. But if they're doing a dating sim, put them both in there. I don't know. There could be a fun story there.
Yeah, with Peach getting her own game, Daisy's stuck out there. I mean, not that Peach didn't have their own game before this, but yeah.
I also want to put out there, like, the original Mario parties. Daisy was my pick every time. She was brunette. She was a girl. Those are things I identified with. And then she was ignored, which, I mean, like, maybe is also something that can be identified with a lot of people. We haven't gotten any of the girls and things. Tell us who the heck Daisy is other than an alt of Peach.
Daisy's game is just trying to get people to notice you as Daisy. hey, okay.
I don't know. I kind of view Daisy as somebody who's a little bit more rough and tumble, a little more tomboyish than Princess Peach. Princess Peach, I feel like, has so much more of the regality about her. And, and even her game coming up, it's like her performing in a little play, and all this kind of stuff, right? Where I feel like Daisy feels like a little bit more salt of the earth kind of character. So I think it'd be fun to see, I don't know, maybe like, Daisy, gets down and dirty with the workers and maybe Daisy leads a workers revolt in Sarasa Land.
I'm into that.
Yeah, it's like Daisy v. the Bourgeoisie or something like that. I'm just trying to think what kind of game you would have with her, but I would like to see her have more agency outside of just like being a random side character.
Daisy is part-time job service.
Yeah, exactly.
The Mario franchise is ripe with a lot of characters that could get spin-off games, I think.
The Koopalings or the Koopa Kids, however you want to say it, whatever part of the world you're in, definitely deserve a spin-off game where it's just them 7. And I think that would be a really cool way to explore maybe like a beat 'em up, like a side-scrolling beat 'em up where you can pick from you have 7 characters to pick from. They all play differently. It's 4 players, up to 4 players. And then you beat the game and then you unlock the 8th secret character and it's Bowser Jr., of course. But I don't really think I can't really think of the last like beat 'em up style game that Nintendo has really made. And they've kind of made a bit of a comeback in recent years with, like Streets of Rage 4 and then the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It just I feel like there's something there. And then, the story could be like they're revolting against Bowser, who was their dad and is now not their dad. I don't know. And then Bowser Jr. always seems like he has a contentious relationship with his father. So, that's why Bowser Jr. is on their side.
Bowser Jr. is the step kid that sided with the kids, not the dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's something there.
I don't know. It could maybe be you could take a page from Mario versus Donkey Kong. Maybe Mecha Koopas have gained some AI sentience and are starting to revolt, and they have to fight against their own mecha creations. But I like this idea of maybe all of the 7 are playable characters like ATMT, Shredder's Revenge, or something like that. You can kind of pick who you want to play as. I think that's a pretty cool idea. I can't think of the last time, if ever, Nintendo has made a side-scrolling beat 'em up like that.
Yeah.
Have they? It's kind of. I feel like that was a Sega like genre, like in the 16-bit era. The Nintendo kind of didn't really do a lot of those for first-party games. So it'd be really cool to see what they did with that, even though that's not my favorite genre of game.
While we're talking about them, I think we have to talk about Bowser. I think Bowser, that section, spoiler, I guess, at the end of Mario Odyssey, where you get to play as capture Bowser and play as Bowser, was just like such a fun section to me. And you were destroying things, which felt right. So I feel like, I don't know what it would be, but I feel like if you're playing as Bowser, it would need to be like a Blast Core like game where like you just like get to just destroy the landscape.
Yes, or like Rampage.
Yeah. Like it's kind of like how fast can you demolish this area?
I could totally see like a Muso kind of style, like the 1 versus 1,000 kind of thing of just like mass chaos, but you get to feel powerful controlling Bowser.
Yeah, and then like evolve into the big Mega Bowser every once in a while or something.
Yeah.
Or this could be our first canon introduction of Bowsette in a Bowser game. Maybe have some sort of, maybe it's, Bowser starts HRT, starts transitioning.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe, really get Sweet Baby up in this game. They could do some, get some DEI inclusion here with the queer community. No,
I love our suggestions.
Truly. I think before we leave the Mario spinoff game section, I think we got to talk Birdo.
Yeah,
I have wanted a Birdo game for forever, man.
Yeah,
I think Birdo is such an interesting character. And talking about trans, I think Birdo is such a fascinating character, and I think there's a lot you could do with Birdo. I think ideally, I would just want a 2D like platformer shooter, kind of like Mega Man, right? Like something that is like run and shoot, but give her a lot of like really cool movement abilities, and then the ability to shoot up, down, left, or right as you're going, right? So it's kind of almost like Adventure of Link, where you do your like down attack from the air and you can shoot to the side. I think it's that, but with shooting, and then you can also like shoot eggs as attacks or shoot them as platforms and like ride them up. I think that could be a really cool way to do it. I think if you're not going to do a 2D platformer, I think maybe a Birdo. What I wrote down over here was a Birdo game 3D platformer / shooter, maybe akin to something like Sin and Punishment. So it's kind of almost like a rail sort of thing, but you would bring in platforming elements into it that aren't involved in that. And then obviously a much less dystopian totalitarian vibe than Sin and Punishment. But I mean, it could kind of work. But either way, I think giving Birdo her own game, getting something going there, I think might be really interesting. I think it would appeal to longtime fans of Mario, just being like, oh, this is a really cool, interesting character that we've never really seen have the spotlight. And I think it would also appeal to women and, you know, again, like I think kind of the queer community, and just kind of reach across the aisle for some different demographics that you maybe haven't been getting with your massive appeal Mario games.
Honestly, yeah, just throw in some more characters that aren't just that Italian guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I got one more before we move on from Mario, or unless anybody else does too. But like, this was my wife insisting that I suggest this because her favorite character is Toadette, I think Toadette is a character that they've added and pushed a lot lately, but doesn't have a very clear identity. And giving a game to Toadette could do that. I don't have a brilliant idea, but for some reason, some of the same reasons, like of just being another female representation and stuff like that. I'm wondering about some sort of crafty, like city building kind of thing or something, or like maybe that's the Mario Maker, the fact that she's in charge there, that's got my brain on that track. But I don't know if anybody else has any ideas for Toadette. But
a Mushroom King builder game. Yeah. I'd play it. Yeah. Why not? She's in charge of it. Yeah.
Next on our list here, we've got Donkey Kong related spin-off ideas. I put Dixie Kong on this list. I don't even know that I want Dixie Kong to get like a different kind of game. I just want to play the Donkey Kong Country game where Dixie Kong is the lead character. That's all. Like I don't it doesn't need to be a spin-off. It just needs to be Donkey Kong Country, Dixie's, whatever.
Patrick, she's got 2 games. You got Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. But I mean, Dixie is such a cool character. I agree. I'd love to see her come back with a new game.
Yeah.
I put Funky Kong, been around for forever, always on the surfboard. I'm like, dude, surfing Funky Kong game. What are we doing here? It writes itself. I think he would just be, he's like just such a funny character. I was playing Mario Kart the other day and I immediately gravitated towards Funky Kong. And I think that's my new Mario Kart pick. But anyway, I would just love to see it. And he was in the movie as well. So I'm like, it's time. It is time to push Funky Kong out of the easy mode shadows and into a surfing game of some sort.
I think a surfing game would be pretty could
Yeah, I agree. He's a very memed on character too. Like everybody likes him and thinks he's cool. And I think that it'd be fun, I think, to make a game, like if it is a surfing game, it'd be really fun to play in the 90s aesthetic of it all, you know, like really push that kind of like super hardcore edgy, like 90s gross out aesthetic with this game. Maybe even do it kind of like pre-rendered looking almost, or have it be isometric, kind of like the Super Mario RPG style, but like surfing and stuff like that. I think you could do some pretty interesting stuff. Or maybe it starts as a surfing game and then he gets shipwrecked, and then, or like he's like stuck on an island, and then all of a sudden it's like him like going from island to island, like with his surfboard and trying to like get back home. These are all just some ideas we're throwing out here, but I think a super 90s aesthetic Funky Kong game would be pretty fucking sick.
Okay, not related, but where's the Donkey Kong bongos? Funky Kong, funky beats would be pretty good.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Funky Kong
I don't think it's going to happen, but the title's there.
That's true. What were you going to say, Patrick?
Oh, I think Funky Kong's more guitar to me. So maybe Funky Kong is their own little guitar mini game somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, hear me out. Masayoshi Takanaka surfboard guitar is now
ukulele
is his instrument. I don't know. David, for whatever reason, when you were talking about the aesthetic of him, like he is very like Johnny Bravo to me, like that style of like kind of just a gross dude, but like we laugh because you know
Oh,
how ridiculous he is.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. I think he's a himbo more than
He's a
gross.
Ken.
He's not a fuck boy. He's a fuck man.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, I see it. All right. So, well, yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
We can workshop this one.
Unless there's anything else on Donkey Kong, we got a bunch of ideas here for The Legend of Zelda. That's another big one, like Mario, that has a lot of side
So many.
characters that could have their own games with the obvious Zelda pick, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Although-
is so far beyond time that Zelda needs to star in a Zelda game.
But I don't think it should be spin-offy. I think they should just make a mainline Zelda game.
Yes.
I agree.
Like the whole Princess Peach treatment, like there's so many different Mario games. It makes sense to give her a different type of game. But Zelda's so story focused and it's called The Legend of Zelda. Just let us play Zelda.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like, ideally, I think the next game post Tears of the Kingdom would be another game that is like that, where you can play where two people can play together in the world, and it's cooperative, and you can play as both Link and Zelda. But if they're not going to do that, which I think they just don't want to do, and that would also probably come with a lot of technical hurdles, I think just having a story where it's flipped, and this time Link needs to be saved, and Zelda can have a whole bunch of abilities that Link doesn't have. Like that can be how it's different. Have it be the same bones of a game, but just have the abilities be different. She just does things differently than Link does. It's not focused on swordplay. It's focused on magic. It's focused on maybe more puzzle solving. It's focused on more how you move about the environment and use your magic rather than straight up blocking, dodging, swiping, stuff like that. I just think you could, basically do the same thing, but with an entirely different moveset, and it would feel so fresh.
Totally.
Yes. Like you said, we just need a Zelda game, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think it has to be Link needs saving. I mean, there's so much they've already put into the story where she was the savior of a lot of the plot. She swoops in at the end in all of these. Just have it be about like her saving some other problem in Hyrule.
Well, who else do y'all really want to see get their own game from Zelda series?
So I want to put this forward because I love villain perspectives. I would like a Ganondorf story. Like he's always there. He's a recurring dude. There's a lot in the backstory of like him being the only male in 100 years of the Gerudo and all of that stuff. There's plenty to go into. I'd love to get some like motivation behind what drove him to seek out strength in that way and what turned him into a bad guy.
Yeah, ride the Dune hype right now. Get us like a Middle Eastern like tinged like Gerudo style story of like the lone like male warrior in a female dominated like landscape. And have it, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff you could do with that, fucking riding,
Absolutely.
sandstorms and all this different kind of crazy stuff. Very desert focused game. I think that could be pretty sweet.
I think it'd be really neat.
I think also, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but are there timelines where a hero never appears, right?
Yeah, in the official Hyrule canon.
the sigh as you say that. But I mean,
there's timelines where, like, or at least the older, like, adult youth one. There's one where Link was gone for a very long period of time. Ganon came back to power, but another Link always kind of resurged. And then now Nintendo has a, Link failed timeline.
Yeah, I think that could be an interesting way to like work it into the timeline if you want to. They don't ever really care about the timeline, to be honest, usually, but
they don't.
Nice to like be able to work that in as well, as like, oh, this is a era where Link was not there and allowed him to rise to power in such a way.
You could do the kind of thing where it's him getting to power and then end it right before one of the games where it's like, this is how he became this bloodthirsty king.
Yeah, it'd also be cool to maybe have him start as a good guy and then have him somehow be corrupted so that by the end of the game, he turns into the Ganondorf, so you're not just playing as some treacherous fucker the entire
Right.
game. You know, it's like it kind of, then it's even more tragic at the end and then kind of makes you want to go back and play the other games and, you know, put them in his
Yeah.
right place, right? But I think we're maybe also describing one game here. You know, I mean, we've talked about this
Totally.
before, but I think, you know, a Zelda game where you play from 3 different perspectives, the 3 different aspects of the Triforce being Ganondorf, Link, Zelda. Maybe they're each in a different time or even a different timeline, different universes or whatever.
Ooh.
And then somehow all 3 of these stories coalesce into a more traditional Zelda style story by the end. But, you know,
That would be super cool.
I think that could be really cool. And then each one would have kind of different styles of gameplay and you could jump back and forth at your will to you know, finish different parts of the story. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Mhm.
Super on board with that. I don't think Nintendo would do this because this is more of a non-Nintendo kind of thing. But if you did have 3 moving storylines with the idea of like wisdom, courage, power,
Mhm.
if your choices influence the ending to like favor one of those 3,
Yeah.
okay, I want this game now. Someone
I know. Yeah, me too. This is a very sad episode because we're never going to get any of these looking games.
Well, I feel like I'm always on the episodes where I just tell you all the things I want and they never come.
This is like when I watch For All Mankind and I'm just get like sad that we've never gone back to the moon.
Yeah.
Like gave that much of a shit about space. It's like,
Maybe one of the things we say in this whole episode will eventually happen.
hopefully that's a win.
What else we got for Zelda, y'all? Anybody want to pitch something else?
Someone has Sheik in here, and
Mhm.
also Impa were in here as well, and I think those kind of maybe go hand in
They
hand.
definitely do.
Yeah, but I think something with the Sheikah, you know, there was a game that was rumored to be in development by Retro Studios that was a Sheik spin-off game. Everything I hear about that is that it was not anywhere near as fleshed out a game as a lot of people thought.
It's like
and that it was
concept art. Yeah.
yeah, and that it was also like a gimmicky game that was making use of a peripheral and stuff like that. And so it's like, but that said, you could really do some really cool stealth style games or like an open worldy Metal Gear Solid 5 style game
Yeah.
about the Sheikah. And just that whole race of people in Zelda are so fascinating and there's so much going on. And we got a lot fleshed out with the Sheikah in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I feel like we learned a lot about their culture. And this would be a great time, I think, to dive even further into that, play a little bit with the mysticism, play with some of the ninja kind of aesthetics of it as well. But yeah, some
I
cool.
would love a kind of like stealth focused game for this.
Yeah.
Because you could still put a lot of story plot into it, but make the gameplay something we don't see from Zelda.
Yeah, I love that.
And Impa's just super cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Impa has been around since day fucking 1 with Zelda too. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Like Impa has been in like every single Zelda game so far.
It's one of the few characters other than the main 3 that are always there somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could do a lot with that. I also put on here, because no one else was going to suggest a farming sim, Lon Ranch farming sim.
Yeah.
You could just have Lon Ranch and it'd be a ranching game and you could breed horses and make Lon milk.
There you go. And sell it at the market.
I will buy any farming sim. I would absolutely buy a Zelda themed farming sim.
If there's one genre that is underrepresented, it's
It's farming sims.
it's farming
And
sims.
come on, Malin and Talon are cool characters.
Totally.
Epana's awesome. Epana should get her own game.
So there you go. We have also just on this list just a game focusing on any of the other races. We kind of talked about the Gerudo if that was like a Ganondorf game, but I think it would be really fun if you could play a game primarily as a Goron or I don't know, that could be another choice game or something that ties in like multiple characters or something, playable characters. I don't know. But it would be cool to just see
maybe
more.
a game that's like a race war between all the races.
I mean,
Zelda
some kind of
franchise.
competition focused game would make sense, like a multiplayer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Battlefield.
Just risk.
I have a couple ones that are like not really in any category
Go for
that
it.
I'd maybe like to pitch if that's okay. That I wrote down. I'd love a game that is maybe a Smash-like or some kind of crossover game with all the puzzle mascots. So I'm talking characters from Panel de Pon, the Pick Bits from Picross, Tetris blocks, Puyo Puyo characters, Kururin, Pushmo, stuff like that. Maybe not like a Smash-like, but something that crosses all of them over. And especially since I think we've seen a lot of success with the 99 games, maybe something that's like an online focused game that kind of goes between a lot of these different puzzle styles. I think that could actually be really, really cool. And if we're not going to do that, then something that utilizes a lot of these mascots from these puzzle games, because they always have like very like well crafted out characters that are just like sitting beside wherever you're doing a puzzle, so it'd be cool to just like play as, fucking, I can't, well, all the Puyo Puyo characters' names are not coming to my mind right now, but, it'd be cool to play as any of them. So I think that one could maybe be fun. That's not a super fleshed out idea, but that'd be cool.
I think if you wanted to do that, you could do something more like WarioWare, where you get different characters, but it's all mini games and like things to do.
That's a great segue for my next one, because my next game character that I'd like to see spin off and get their own game is Pyoro from WarioWare.
Nice.
I think it's time for Nintendo to reclaim this character after it's been taken from a very prolific leaker who is always ruining Nintendo Directs. And if you'll maybe know that Pyoro did have his own, it was a mini game in the very first WarioWare, and then they did release that as a standalone, I think, DSi game, that Pyoro kind of like tongue stickering out game or whatever, how you like catch falling berries. So I think it'd be really cool to really flesh out that idea. And this could be a budget game, like maybe something that's like in the $10 to $15 range, something kind of around the price range you would see for like Kirby. What's the Kirby food game?
Dream Buffet,
yeah, Dream Buffet,
yeah.
something kind of like that. But I'm thinking 2D roguelike with that tongue sticking out mechanic, kind of maybe in the realm of like Downwell, something like that. Something that's very vertically oriented. Maybe you're going up or down, but you're shooting out with your tongue and then maybe using that to climb. I think that could be a really cool game. And I like Pyoro as a character a lot, so I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think there's a lot of WarioWare side characters. I mean, that's just another like big group of characters that could all they're not as well known, so that's a little harder, but I'd like to see Ashley and Red get their own game. Or like
a Mona pizza delivery game could be really cool. Yeah.
I think there's some room here for not AAA releases, but like if Nintendo made their own kind of more indie style shorter experiences.
Yes.
Maybe as a collection for like WarioWare characters or something, but bigger games, not just the mini micro games.
We keep hearing about Nintendo wanting to partner with third-party developers and more indie-focused developers to give them their IP. I think having smaller bite-sized experiences is a great way to do it.
And those are a good way to do it, where it's not like they're handing over Mario, but take some creative license with one of our smaller characters.
Yeah. Take the famous bird Pyoro.
Yeah. What franchise do you want to talk about next, or any other individual game pitches?
I put Animal Crossing on here because Tom Nook. I think Tom Nook has a lot of personality, and Animal Crossing is so focused on like the style of the game. You build the town. You're a nondescript character. But this is also a place I feel like they could make a phone game or some smaller game that's just Tom Nook running a store and like optimizing that somehow. And it'd still be a builder kind of thing, but a different kind of gameplay loop.
I'm picturing like, you know how you're trying to optimize like to sell something for the highest price, and like buying and selling. This is not a great comparison, but to like the game you had on your calculator when you were young, where you're selling drugs and you're just trying to sell your drugs for the highest possible amount and buy it for the lowest possible amount, something like that.
Yeah.
And as a small like phone experience that you could just carry with you would be really cool.
I think it'd be a really cool little mini game thing, and still kind of like educational and along what Nintendo does with a lot of their kind of smaller spin-off stuff, honestly.
I think this is going to feed into the Daisy Workers' Revolt game.
Yes.
As everyone starts seeing that capitalism has failed them.
Maybe at the end of the Tom Nook game, you realize that the capitalism wasn't the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super leftist Nintendo game.
With Tom Nook. He's kind of the villain.
Well, I think Animal Crossing is an interesting choice because it's like you said, you play as a villager that you pick, but then there are all these animal characters that people have fallen in love with and like. And that also is the same development group, right? But Splatoon is kind of the same way. You play as this sort of generic Inkling, and then there are all these idols now from all these different games. Wouldn't it be cool if we could play a game as the idols from Splatoon?
I've got that on my list too, Patrick. Yeah.
I mean,
what kind of game do you see?
Well, the obvious choice is because they're idols is something like a rhythm game or something, but I don't know that I want that. But I feel like music would have to play a big element in it. So I'm wondering about some sort of rhythm-based like movement game or something like that, because movement in Splatoon is such a big thing too. And I don't have a very fleshed out idea, but I'm thinking of like, you know, like a music level from Rayman or something, you know what I mean? Where you have to kind of like do these things on the beat, maybe.
Man, I kind of saw a bit of a different thing. I mean, I'd love to play as the idols, but I think it also might be cool if you played the like manager for the idols, you know, and you had to like figure out what their tours were going to look like, and you had to like book places for them, and then and then the boss fights or whatever could be the shows, and you could have like, you know,
problems go on in the show, and you got to like fix the lighting or something. Yeah,
exactly. But I think that would be really cool, because I think something that Splatoon does really well is that world fleshing out and making it feel kind of like our real world, and kind of like bringing a lot of that into it. So I think like managing like venues and like fucking, you know, like trying to sell tickets, like that could be kind of fun.
There's room here too for that signature style of Splatoon. You could like set your set designs and things like that, and like win certain things you could use for the lighting next time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah. I also have another one here for Splatoon. Just a game, and I don't really know exactly what this would be. Maybe kind of like, I think it would be cool for it to be a shooter as well, but something that maybe explores a little bit more of the backstory of Splatoon that we've seen referenced a lot in the canon in like very slight ways. But I think seeing something that's maybe like a war, or like, you know, something like, you know, with like a lot of enemies on the screen at once, and not only it's a lot of enemies and you're killing them all, it's like you with like an infantry of people like going forward, you know, like big grand scale battles. I think that could be kind of cool, but we're not really talking character spin-offs anymore at that point, so I'll nip that one in the bud.
Well, I think we should head towards wrapping this up, so I want to make sure that anything anybody really wants to mention gets mentioned. We got time, but like, yeah, Jordan, you want to pitch something?
This is the last like pretty okay idea I had. So, you know, Star Fox. We haven't seen Star Fox in so long, guys. Like, it's just been, the Wii U game. So what I'm thinking is we're going to make a Star Fox game, or they should make a Star Fox game where it doesn't really star Star Fox, but, you know, there's a whole federation in Corneria. So, you know, you play as people in the Cornerian Federation. You go like bounty hunts for villains like Wolf, or you defend bases, you capture wildlife and bring it back. And, you know, they just call it Star Fox Corneria Federation Force. And that's what the Star Fox fans really want. They want a Star Fox game where you don't play a Star Fox.
Yes. Oh, Lord. Well, I kind of got one sort of similar to that, Jordan, if I can. So we've already seen this crossover before with Star Fox Guard, but I think a very underutilized but very recognizable Nintendo character is Rob, Robotic Operating Buddy. So I think it might be cool to have a game where you play as Rob. Maybe you got left behind on a mission or something, because I feel like Rob, you know, started as a Gyromite character and has kind of become a Star Fox character over time. But I think it maybe like you get left behind on a mission and you have to like find your way back to the Star Fox crew or whatever, right? So maybe you could bring some survival elements in there, right? You have to like learn how to like live amongst people on whatever planet that you're from and like get them on your side, like you were talking about hunting gathering and stuff like that. That could be kind of cool with a Rob type game, but we should probably also just have a Star Fox game where you play as Star Fox.
Give us a Star Fox game.
I thought about like suggesting Star Fox characters, but then they really just should make another game.
Yeah. I'm glad we're all on board with that.
More Star Fox, please.
Yes.
I guess so. Unless other people have more pitches, I kind of wanted to give honorable mention to a couple games that don't need this attention. Because a lot of my favorite games have party systems where they actually do go into the characters well, and nothing we have mentioned has to need a spinoff if they actually have a whole party. So like Xenoblade did beautifully. You can play a bunch of people. They've included DLC, so you got the villain perspectives, and like Fire Emblem is kind of the same deal. So there's plenty of games that if we didn't talk about them today, it's not because we don't care about those characters, but because they might already be giving them attention.
Fire Emblem is definitely a series that I could see spin-offs for of different kinds of gameplay. And I would like to, because I don't really love strategy games, but I like that world. I kind of want an action game that's Fire Emblem. I don't really care which character we follow, but
Fire Emblem Warriors is looking you in the eyes.
But not a Muso game, y'all. I know I thought about that when I wrote this deck, because I actually have it here, like an action RPG where you play as, I don't know, and because in the Fire Emblem games, your primary character is always those blank slate characters. Maybe this is a chance. Always. Well, you correct me, but like my experience of the recent ones, right? But and then some of the more interesting characters are the side characters, which makes sense. But I would like to play an action RPG where you're them.
My suggestion for that, which won't help with the action RPG, but I want those remakes because that was before they started the blank character. And then I think my solution to what you want here is what Final Fantasy Remake is, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they've done really well at taking like a more party-based system, even if it did have the action economy that built up over time, and created a really nice experience to run through with the main character. But I'll talk about that some later.
Well, as we head towards this, any final pitches? I mean, anything we didn't get to mention that we really want to mention? Anything else, David?
Well, I mean, somebody, I don't know who wrote this, but
we don't have to talk about
who wrote Ring Fit on the show notes?
I did.
Because I kind of love that.
So it's kind of my joke, and I was going to skip it if we didn't have time. But the Ring Fit is the most forgotten character.
Yeah.
And I have this ring, and I liked playing through the story, but I never go back to just do the challenges. I never really return to it. So if they made another Ring Fit story based on anything, it could be the same enemies with a different like spin on it, or just like find more creative uses for this ring that is sitting in my corner for years. I'd love that.
I kind of agree. I think it would be cool. I'm seeing something like super anime and super serious. Like it's the end of the world, there's been a cataclysmic event and the only person left is like the Ring Fit trainer in the ring, and they have to it's like hordes of monsters and it's like everything's irradiated. Like just something super serious. I think could be really fun. Yeah. Just go like super isekai or something crazy with it. I think
like
that
charge power things instead of just like, oh, this is a exercise.
Yeah, and honestly, ditch the ring input. I just want to play as the ring with a regular controller. I want no exercise here whatsoever. I just want it to be super intense.
You can set the setting for the pressure super, super low.
Oh, no, yeah, I know. I use the ring all the time just like while I'm watching TV. Like I just kind of pump my
I think it was interesting, and Nintendo has done a lot of things like Wii Sports, Wii Yoga, and, Wii Fit stuff. Wii Fit trainers even in Smash Bros. Now. Yet I feel like they've really dropped the ball on Ring Fit.
I mean, I think we have to give. There's one in the notes that we haven't said. We got to say it. It's F-Zero, right? I'm not happy about this, but I think everybody wants the bounty hunting Captain Falcon game. So here it is. I'm giving you the credit because it's the episode where we talk about it.
Well, what Emma just said is partly why I think characters that are in Smash where you play as these characters, like Captain Falcon is such a big Smash character, and that moveset, that look, that's not in the F-Zero games, right? Like, and so I want to play a game where I get to be Captain Falcon. Like,
I want to be pink Captain Falcon and knee things.
Yeah, right, where you fight enemies or something.
I mean, like we joke about it and I bemoan it, but I mean, a Captain Falcon bounty hunting game would be fucking sick.
We got him! We got him!
Yeah, peer pressure works.
It would be sick, but I need a new game first. Right. I need a new racing game, and then you do this.
We did it. We got it. F-Zero 99. It's time.
The bounty
It's our
hunting
time.
game you need chase sequences in the bounty hunting game. So there is racing.
Right.
Oh
And
my
then,
goodness.
Of course, there's
Then
racing.
you get out and do something else.
You have to bounty hunt the person in a
Yeah.
car race, and then you get out and beat their ass, and then throw them in the trunk. Repeat.
Sounds like a very Nintendo game, Patrick. Right up their alley.
Oh boy. Okay. Anything else? We calling it there? We'll call it.
These
there.
were all really great ideas. I would
love
play
this.
all of these games.
I
Even the Lon Ranch farming sim I would play.
Thank you. Finally. I'll peer pressure y'all if that ever happens.
Okay.
Well, that's going to do it for this main topic segment. If you're out there listening and you've got a side character in a Nintendo or non-Nintendo game that you want to pitch a story or a gameplay for, definitely do that, and we'll try to give you a shout out next time. And with that, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk about the games we've been playing recently. I don't have anything new to report. I promise I will someday. But right now I'm just playing a lot of games with my kid. And so we've been playing Astro Duel 2 and Minecraft a lot. Really enjoying Minecraft again. Like I talk about it the last several weeks, but I just it's opened up for me in a way that I didn't, even though we've been playing it for a while now, like some things are clicking and that sort of thing. And we're improving, I feel like. And then I've been playing a lot of Splatoon 3 as well. So I don't have these are all games that I talk about a lot, so I won't mention it too much.
When are you picking up that DLC, Patrick?
I don't know.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
I really, really want to hear your thoughts on the DLC, man. I really think you would love it.
All right. I hear it.
Yeah, but when are you going to get it? I need an answer. I don't want any of these empty promises.
At some point.
I did not hear a promise. I just heard that he heard it.
Uh-huh.
Unbelievable.
I'll go next. So I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order, and I'm pretty close to being done with that. I've been kind of taking my time, just exploring that world, trying not to get too burnt out of it, because sometimes those Souls-like games, I just get very frustrated, and I say, I do not want to play this anymore. I'm not having a good time. So, I've been taking my time with it, and I'm really enjoying that. I really like the story of it too. I mean, it's kind of hits all the stereotypical Star Wars notes. But I'm fine with that. I'd rather have a stereotypical Star Wars game than a very, very bad one. So, I'll take what I can get. Since I've last been on the pod, I mailed off both of my Joy-Cons and have received them back. Both of my sticks ended up drifting. My left stick already drifted before this, and I'd already mailed it out previously. And then they both drifted again. So when I got them back, it was just completely brand new sticks, which is super nice. And the main reason that spurred me to do this was Pocket Card Jockey, Ride On or whatever. I can't remember the full title. Anyway, because when you're playing in handheld and you want to flip to the next card, it's the right stick. But since it was drifting, it would just flip my cards and it would just start flipping through my deck. And I was like, no. So I was like, okay, dude, it's time. They're both of your sticks are drifting. 2 birds, 1 stone, just do it. And actually, to the credit, it took, I think, 10 days fully from mailing to coming back to my house. So
It's pretty good.
I thought that was pretty good. I was pretty pleased with that. But yeah, I love Pocket Card Jockey, dude. It's still so addicting. I even got my partner Valerie addicted to it too. It brings like such a little smile to my face whenever I'm like playing, and then I see in the top corner, Valerie is now playing Pocket Card Jockey. I'm like, yes. But the last game I've been playing, I started this pretty short experience, but shout out David, thank you for this one. Return of the Obra Dinn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, what a fantastic game! Like,
It's kind of a masterpiece.
yeah, it's wild. I accidentally played both of his games recently because I played Papers, Please on my laptop, and I did not realize it was by the same guy until about halfway through Return of the Obra Dinn. I think I'm like 2/3 of the way through this game. I'm pretty close. I got maybe like 30 something people's fates. But if you don't know about this game, it's like you're on a ship. It's a first person. You're an insurance inspector. The ship has returned to shore after a 5-year leave, and everyone on the ship is dead. And it is your job to assess the damage and try to figure out how everyone died. So you have this magical pocket watch that shows you the moment that they died. And so by seeing how everyone died, you're starting to piece together the story of what happened on the ship over the course of these years. And it's
Cool.
just, the style's really cool, but then just like the storytelling, the non-linear storytelling is something that you can only really do in a video game. And it is just like a piece of art in the medium. And I'm just eating it up. So I'm really excited to finish the rest of this one. But yeah.
Yeah. What a wholly unique game that is so intuitive while also totally bending your brain in order to figure out like how to get it done. He's got a new game. What's his name? Lucas Pope?
Yes.
Yeah, the creator. He just put out a new game for the Playdate called Mars After Midnight that I really want to pick up, but I haven't yet. Well, I'll go next. I also have been playing some Star Wars games. I picked up the Star Wars Dark Forces remaster made by Night Dive Studios. I'll say that this is like pretty overpriced. I got it on Steam sale. It was like a launch discount of like 10%. So I think I ended up paying like $26 for it. Its MSRP is $30. Which is a little expensive. I think this would have been better as a $15 release, to be honest. But that said, you know, I love my boomer shooters, and I really love playing boomer shooters on the Steam Deck, and I love just old school FPSs in general. I find when you strip away some of the new age bells and whistles, a lot of these old school shooting games are really, really fun when you play on modern platforms, especially with stuff like gyro controls and stuff like that. And this is just a classic game that I think has aged really, really well. And then the remaster by Night Dive Studios is just amazing. They did a wonderful job revamping all the graphics, revamping the cinematics, revamping the sound, but still feeling like a classic game. I'm really enjoying this. If you never played Dark Forces, maybe wait for a sale, but I would recommend this if you like Star Wars and you like shooters and stuff like that. It's pretty fucking fun. I played another game on stream the other night, Xenotilt. This is a sequel to Demon's Tilt, which was in and of itself kind of a spiritual successor to Alien Crush. So there was like Demon Crush and Alien Crush, which were, or excuse me, Devil's Crush. They were like TurboGrafx 16 games, and they were kind of like demonic pinball games. And so they made their own version of it with Demon's Tilt, and now Xenotilt is the sequel to that. These are really cool pinball games that kind of use like a faux 3D pixel art look for some of it. It's got a really interesting aesthetic, and it's just got a really cool vibe. And I got it on my Steam Deck, and I've streamed it the other night. I've been turning my monitor on its side, so I'm playing with a really tall monitor, and that's been a really fun way to play it as well. So I've been really enjoying that. So anybody who likes pinball, I would recommend checking out Xenotilt. And then lastly, I checked out a game called Hatch. This is by Rubeki Games, friend of the show, Rubeki, who's got Lorne's Lure coming out. This is another really similar climbing game. There's no kind of pickaxes that you use to climb this time, but you just can climb anything that is a slope that is facing towards you. So anything that's like straight up or the slope is over 90 degrees or whatever, you can't climb, but you can climb pretty much everything else. And you're trying to get to the top while also anytime you're in view of the sun, you will die if you're in view of the sun for more than like 5 seconds. So the sun is like highly radioactive or whatever.
Wow.
So it makes you want to climb these things and then kind of, run quickly to areas that you know are going to be blocking the sun in order to get to the top. It kind of reminds me of Dune 2, that scene where they're by the sand harvester or whatever, and they're trying to get out of the way of the ornithopter that's shooting at them or whatever. But sorry, I'm a little Dune pilled, as you can tell. But yeah, Hatch is a really cool game. It's definitely not. It feels a little underbaked. It feels like it's leading up to Lorne's Lure, and I'm still very much looking forward to that. But that should be coming out any day now, so I'm excited about that. And then lastly, I just want to give a little bit of a shout out. Excuse me. I went and got some sushi the other day with a friend of the show, Real Tomato, Carrie, my good friend Carrie. And while we were waiting for our seat at Kura, we went to Daiso, and I picked up a paper monograms Picross book. I've already done some of these puzzles, but having a good time. And I showed Carrie some of them as well. Here's just an example of a couple puzzles we've been doing. So I've been having a good time with those. I'm still playing through Picross S+. I really am starting to realize how negatively my Picross addiction has affected my life. But we're trying to move on.
Seems fine.
Yeah. Someday I'll have a wife and kids, but until then, I've got little squares. Anyway, Emma, how about you? What have you been playing this week?
I do sometimes play nonograms just online. I want to put that out there. I actually have never touched a Picross game. And so one day I'll delve into them. But meanwhile, I've been doing like 35 by 35 giant ones while I'm distracting myself at work.
Oh, yeah.
The real game list. I finally finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was beautiful. So good. Such a love letter to the original. And now I'm playing Rebirth, which is even better. I feel like after the first one, they really gave them license to change things a little bit and go for the game they wanted to make. And Rebirth so far is great, like not quite open world, but world exploration, great character stuff, side quests. This is not a game where I need a spin-off of any character because they spend so much effort and like time actually fleshing out everyone in the party. It's gorgeous. And since there is that level of them like messing with the story a little bit, I know what's going to happen, but I'm still on edge. Like, oh no, it's going to happen. How's it going to happen? And then the other game I wanted to mention is that I've sometimes just been as like a pick up and play game. This game Palia that I know we talked about, but I don't know if anyone ever circled back on. It's like an MMO life sim, farm sim kind of game. And it's really fun. I mean, I've paid $0 for it and sunk a lot of hours into it. Made some online friends because it's an MMO and you can just kind of wave at each other with really bad Switch chat. You have to type in the Switch chat. Or don't and wave at people. But it's really fun. If you actually like that kind of stuff and we're wondering if it's a good game, try it. It costs nothing if you don't like it. And yeah, that's about it. Rebirth is taking up all my time.
Very nice. Well, then that's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you, Emma, so much for coming in.
Always happy to be here and always happy to speculate about games they could totally make that might happen.
Thanks also to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. Thank you so much to our patrons on Patreon for supporting the show. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, you can find me as PDYX, and you can find my game company, One Frog Games.
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Boardan. Sorry, I stole how David says it. I don't know. I'm looking at David and it just came out. Sorry. Okay.
It's okay. I'm always looking at me in the Zoom call too. If you'd like to find me, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Emma? Where can people find you online?
Importantly, I'm on the Discord for Super Switch Headz as Emma, and then Emma Brockway some other places.
Very good. Very good. Yep. Be sure to check out Emma online. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Shout out to Summer, who's been uploading hella TikToks to our account. I checked those out. I opened that godforsaken app the other day and saw we had a little bit of interaction on there, so that was nice to see. We also have a website, switchheadz.com. We have our Patreon, like Patrick mentioned, and we also have a Discord and Facebook group. We'll have links to all of these in the description of this show, whether you are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, which we now are up on there, and any other podcast service that you might want to use. That's going to do it for this episode, man. What a fun one. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode. Princess Peach Showtime comes out next week. So we'll be playing the spin-off game of the month next week and giving you our impressions of that. So don't go anywhere. That's going to be a fun episode. Hopefully I like it more than I like the demo because, oh boy. Other than that, gang, that's going to do it. You guys know the drill. Stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Why don't you spin your own self off into the life of your dreams? It's not too late. Workers unite and riot against Das Kapital. All right. Anyway, that's going to do it, everybody. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.